The Celtics clinched their 18th championship in blowout fashion last night over the Dallas Mavericks. We are here to talk about it all day and let you bask in it. And we'll do our best not to ruin it too much, but, you know, the program being what it is, I can't guarantee anything.
Blah, Mazz. How do you like the Mavericks now? Blah.
They disappointed me.
Where do you care to start, Anthony?
I'll start with the big picture. These guys have been working towards this for a long time, obviously. So give it to them. Again, they had a fabulous season beginning to end. They never really took their eyes off the ball. I think they learned to appreciate one another and the contributions that each of them made to the crusade, for lack of a better word. And they earned it. Nobody gave it to them. Easy road or hard road, doesn't really matter. Give them all the credit in the world. They stuck it out. They won, was it 80 games they finished with? 80 and 21 was the final record. I mean, that is a crap ton of wins, man. And again, the thing that would impress me more than anything is the fact that they never really slipped this season. They never really had any sort of major lapse. And, there was nobody else in the league this year that was in their class. And if they were, they got bounced before they got to the Celtics. So tip of the cap. They had a fabulous year and they deserve it.
Turns out you can smile in war, because they came out last night and understood the mission. And even though the shots weren't dropping early, you could tell that they cared defensively. They were in everyone's kitchen, right in everyone's face, bothering Luka Doncic, frustrating the Mavericks. And that was evident early. And so to Mazz's point, the thing where I and others didn't trust them because you thought it might unravel, it never really happened. All they had in the regular season and all they had just a few times this postseason were blips and nothing more. And that's all Friday night was a blip. And they didn't let it unravel. They went out there. They understood the mission. They were going to win it defensively, even if the shots weren't dropping. And then they started to anyway in the second half. And tip of the cap. I mean, I was a doubter, especially with the core two guys, and especially Tatum. But they get their flowers today. They're a dominant team. We can get into whether or not they're one of the great Celtics teams of all time. I personally, even though I don't like them as much as the 08 team, you want to argue that they're better than 08? I'm not going to get in your way. They didn't play with their food this year. They were dominant. I see what the stats are. I might not love it stylistically, but yeah, they're probably the second greatest Celtics team of all time.
So the first takeaway is that it was truly never in doubt, and that is rare. I think
it was like 08 all over again.
Or, I guess it's not rare at certain times in the NBA. But, who knew you were that team? And if there was any doubt, if you ever had any, it was internal. It was you considering their history and you not fully believing because of what they'd done in the past. But nothing they did this year ever put it in doubt at any point in time.
Correct.
I mean, certainly in the playoffs. Like, that is what I've been saying this. I am jealous. Like, what a luxury. What an amazing thing to be a Celtics fan and go through 2 months of playoff basketball and never lose a wink of sleep.
Never really be nervous.
Never, not once. Did you have to be nervous about where they were in a series or hardly even in a given game? I mean, it's just, again, what a blessing for you. And I would say overall, how I feel when a team around here wins a championship, especially one like the Celtics, I do believe it means more. Because we care more. This city cares more. Certainly the history of the team absolutely plays. Your father rooted for that team. Your father, your mother, their father, their mother. It goes back generations. It just means more. It means more if Dallas would have won. It means more than hardly any other team. It means more. It just means more here. And that's one part I do like about it. When a podunk city or a nothing franchise wins a championship, I'm like, what does that mean? It doesn't even mean anything to the people there. Never mind the people at large. Where when a team like the Celtics wins a championship, it means a lot to a lot of people. It means something. We give a crap here on a whole nother order than other places. So when one of these teams wins, especially one like the Celtics, it's just more meaningful, and that's a unique thing to hear and a unique thing to you. And I don't know what to say more about that than, you're allowed to revel in it, of course, But just this isn't a run-of-the-mill championship. It just means more when a team like this wins a title. It does.
Yeah, look, it matters here. That's what makes the market the market. It matters, which sometimes is a terrible thing to deal with if you're on the wrong side of it. When you lose, it hurts. But when you get there and you complete it, there's great value in it. It's gratifying. And again, for these guys, this team this year, this season, I don't want to call it a cakewalk, but it was kind of a cakewalk. Really. They never really had anyone threaten them. And again, not that that's their fault. And in terms of slipping up, they didn't. Like a lot of teams have lapses. They never really had one. And Dallas did make them work a little bit. I mean, they had to fight for some of it. And, their shots weren't falling. So one of the things I do like about this series is that they didn't win it scoring 130 points. They had to win it another way. They held Dallas under 100 points in all 4 of their victories. So they had to play defense. You said yesterday, defense is their calling card. It's what they can rely on. And in this series, it's the one thing that they could do consistently and rely on. So they shut them down. And to me, that's if you are critiquing a team, that's what you're looking for, is a team that can win in multiple ways.
Yeah, I would say that should be even more gratifying. It would be for me if I were a Celtic fan, where you won a championship and you didn't do it just by chucking threes, or let me rephrase, making threes. You certainly chucked, but you didn't make them. It's not like you just got ungodly hot back there and miss and you made a bunch of threes. That's not why you won. You didn't win because your best player took over and everyone just stood aside as your best player did something. And that, to me, again, that's good news. That's good news that you won without making a lot of threes. You won without Jason Tatum being, a consensus the best player in the series. Some people think he still was. That's a good thing. That's a good trick that speaks to the strength of your team and not just one guy. Or, again, I think the three-point thing is fleeting, even for good shooting teams. So that, to me, is the good news. I mean, and there's a lot of good news. I think it's great news for you that Jaylen Brown won the MVP. Because you know what that means. And what does that mean, Mazz?
It means that Jason Tatum has something to shoot for.
Tatum's got something on the table.
Yep.
He's got something. Your best player has something left on the table. That's a big deal.
Yep.
It's not like, okay, he's got his championship. In a couple months, he's going to get his contract. And if he had won the MVP, you could have said, well, that's it. It's not. He's got something left. And that's good. That's good for you.
I mean, that can drive a franchise. It can.
It'll drive him the next time he gets there, for sure.
Yeah, and he is still the biggest cog, or one of the 2 biggest at the very least. It crossed my mind too, that in a lot of ways it's a good break for them.
So I think it's a great circumstance to have. I also found it interesting that I felt like it was his night, even though he didn't win the MVP, which is an interesting thing too. And I just, I think we're going to parse that out.
How it typically doesn't happen that way.
It still was about him, don't you feel?
Oh, big time. I thought it was Tatum's night.
He did the walk-off interview, first spot right out of the closing credits, if you will. The first commercial they went to after they clinched was him, blowing everybody. I feel like he's gotten the most bandwidth in the next day. I feel like, you tell me, in the second half, did it feel like he was hunting it a little bit? Or they were letting him? Wasn't he exceptionally ball dominant in the second half?
I thought so.
I just felt that way to me.
Mm-hmm.
There were times when he missed, I felt there were a couple times where he then passed it off and said, all right, enough. In the third quarter, he and Brown both went 1 for 6. I just feel the ball was in Tatum's hands the whole time until he missed a bunch and then said no. But so I don't know. I felt like it was set up to be his night. I still think the production of the night still steered everything towards Tatum, but he didn't win the MVP, which I think, again, is a good thing. Especially, I think he handled it well and is handling it well, and I think it's all good. But that, I think he's still going to ideally say, well, I've got something left on the table. A good thing for you. So, I don't know where you want to go. We can talk about the game. I don't know. If you had one game thought, what is it, Mazz? Can I give it to you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you one. I thought the Celtics won the game effectively at the end of the first quarter.
I was just going to say the end of the quarters in the first half, to me, is where the game was put away.
Yeah,
Both quarters.
The run they had at the end of the first quarter, I thought that one opened it up to about 10. I thought that was an excellent sequence for them at the end of the quarter.
Could you
both ends of the floor?
Yeah.
They were great.
But I was also sitting there in disbelief that Jason Kidd didn't call a timeout during that stretch. It was like a minute and a half of the end of that first quarter, and it was just like a big run for the Celtics. I'm like, this idiot, is he going to do anything? Nope.
Stupid. But the handbook says you don't call the timeout there because you're getting to the quarter break anyway, so you don't want to waste 20. But
it's a feel thing.
It's the finals.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. I agree with you. So I thought the end of sequences at the end of both halves were really sort of told the story, which is when the Celtics, in some games this year, have sort of let go of the rope. That's when they decided to turn it on, and when they turned it on, it was over. So I thought that was kind of the game thought last night. I thought...
When you say both halves, you mean first and second quarter?
I'm sorry, first and second quarter.
Yeah.
The first quarters. The first and second quarter is what I meant. The quarter breaks, both quarter breaks in the first half, I thought is where it was won and lost. I thought the big loser last night was Doncic. I thought he was worse than Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. And maybe because I was expecting more, or you needed more out of him. I thought he was like the GOAT of the evening, like almost to the point where there was something wrong with him.
I just think he was really frustrated about their defense, and he just kind of quit. I'm with you. I thought he was the worst Maverick on the floor last night.
I mean, he didn't make a 3-pointer till the fourth quarter, right?
Yep.
Hey, once that happens, you're looking at it going, well, forget it. They have no shot. And what did he finish with, 28? I don't even know. Because I felt once the Celtics got the game by the throat, Dallas never really got back into it.
It happens in the NBA, so it's not rare, but just the complete lack of desperation from Dallas to me is just, it blows me away. I mean, how many offensive rebounds did the Celtics get with the ball bouncing on the floor? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, how many of them were Drew Holiday?
Just running into loose offensive rebounds. Not even battling someone, just it hits the deck and they collected it. There were 2 jump balls in the first half that they won, and Derek White hit a 3 off of one of them. Just those little things. It's just so weird how it happens sometimes in that sport. Game 4, the Celtics say, nah, don't need this one. I mean, it's the finals. Don't need this one. Rather clinch at home. And then Dallas comes to Boston and says, well, we got one. We saved face. No real reason to go after that one. It's the finals, guys. But that happens. I mean, we've seen the greats of the greats quit. And Kobe Bryant quit in here the last time he won a championship.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.